final question. What you shared with us tonight, Keith, reflects the vision of Dr. King. The letter from the Birmingham jail, a lot of lamentation there about the unjust application of the law, which you talked about tonight. The final question for this night is, given that the theme of tonight's forum was America and the dream of Martin Luther King Jr. and in the unjust application of the law, the final question I have for you tonight is, how do you think Dr. King would have reacted to the George Floyd verdict?
I think he would have told us, have hope. If you keep fighting, some good things are going to happen. Remember, when Dr. Martin Luther King decided to join with Hosea Williams and John Lewis in Selma, Alabama, only a few weeks before, Alabama state troopers had shot down and murdered Jimmy Lee Jackson. Jimmy Lee Jackson. And he gave a moving speech, one of the greatest speeches he ever gave, about who killed Jimmy Lee Jackson. Does anybody remember that speech? Boy, that's a speech for you, man. Go listen to that speech. Do yourself a favor. And he talked about what happened in Marion, Alabama to Jimmy Lee Jackson, and it starts so King knew how damaging official state violence against individuals just trying to pursue their rights really was. He understood it on a rudimentary level. He also, was an incredibly hopeful man, but he was not a naive man. People think that King was naive. Oh, you think these folks is going to change? Oh, you think being nonviolent is going to mean they're not violent with you? He was not naive. He was extremely well aware. He was astute and he had a plan and he pursued it. And he understood that you need to celebrate a victory and then get ready for a lot of work. Celebrate a victory and understand some losses are going to come your way. And King understood this. We barely scratched the surface of the man who was Martin Luther King. We don't quite understand this cat just yet. He still is way beyond where we were. I mean, do you realize the man did every single thing that he ever did before his 40th birthday? Think about that. Yeah. Think about he led the Montgomery bus boycott at 26 years of age. He was always learning. He was always understanding more. He was never stopped trying to be smarter than he was. He didn't think he knew everything. He listened to people. He got an attitude. Sometimes he was a person. He was not perfect, but Martin Luther King, I think, would have been overjoyed at this prospect, having seen police violence, having seen what happened to John Lewis on Bloody Sunday, March 7th, 1965. He knows, he spoke about police brutality in the 1963 I Have a Dream speech, his most famous speech, not his best speech, but his most famous speech. He talked about it. He wrote about it. So I think he would have been there. But one thing I think Martin Luther King would have also said to us, I think he would have said, if you've ever read the story of the Good Samaritans in the Bible, where this young, I think it was a young lawyer who goes to Jesus and says, who is neighbor? Tell me who's neighbor? He says, let me tell you about neighbor. Neighbor is this Samaritan, who, by the way, the Samaritans were the consummate other. The Jews of that time viewed them as heretics in that part of the world. They were not viewed as mainstreamers. They were viewed as no-gooders. That's what it was. And he said, so this Samaritan, maybe in American parlance, this black person, he was on Jericho Road, and it's a very dangerous road known for bandits. And they saw a man on the ground, and the Levite priest walked by, and the other guy crossed over because he thought the man might be laying in wait. But the Samaritan put him up, took him to the inn, said, when I come back, if he has any charges, I'll pay him. Now, think about those people assembled on the street of 38th and Chicago Avenue yelling for Derek Chauvin to get off him, get off him. Do y'all know that not one single one of those people knew George Floyd? None of those people knew George Floyd, not one of them. And all of them put themselves at risk, almost got themselves arrested, almost got themselves sprayed with mace, almost got themselves beat up, threatened, because they would not leave. And they took that video and they showed it. And then they were, let me tell you, these are not sophisticated people. These are regular folks. Mr. Williams, Donald Williams, an MMA fighter, young tough guy, crying on the stand. A badass MMA fighter who's used to fighting in the octagon in tears because of what happened to George Floyd. A 9-year-old girl with love t-shirt on. Darnella Frazier, 17 years old, not even 18 years old. Oh, and then Mr. McMillan, 62-year-old dude, only went to the third grade, didn't know George Floyd, intervening in tears. I'm telling you, that was the beloved community. People of all race, black, white, native, all right there, all right there. Oh, and guess what? Chauvin's white, King is black, in case you didn't know. I'm talking about the officers. Tu Tao is Hmong, and Lane and Thomas Lane is white. So you got a multiracial group killing this guy, and a multiracial group standing up for this guy. That is, to me, profoundly spiritual. And I hope we think about that. And I hope we ask ourselves, if you just saw some guy under a cop's knee yelling, "I can't breathe," would you just say, well, he probably did something, I'm mind my own business? If you saw somebody saying, "Oh, I can't breathe," would you say, well, he's probably on drugs anyway, and that's what happens when you do that? Or would you say, stop it, get off that man, I'm gonna take a video of you, you stop doing that? There was a moral test for them, and it's a moral test for us right here, right now. So I'll see y'all.
Thank you so much for bringing forth that cosmic reality towards the end, the spiritual angle of this. Let me hand it over to Detroit's racial justice advocate, Attorney Tina Patterson, who's the president of the PuLSE Institute, to give our closing remarks here for what is quite a treat tonight on criminal justice reform. Tina, back to you.